The residents of Villisca, Iowa, thought their little town was a friendly, neighborly place. This illusion was shattered by a single, terrible event. Life in Villisca would never be the same again. All the bodies were found in a natural sleeping posture, with heads beaten almost to a pulp. Adams County Free Press. It was a quiet Monday morning, on the 10th of June 1912, in the farming town of Villisca, Iowa. A woman named Mary Peckham was bustling about, doing her chores, when she noticed an odd stillness at about 7 a.m. Normally by this time, Mary's neighbours would be bustling too. Instead, aside from the impatient mooing of cows waiting to be milked in the field, their house was silent. The house next door belonged to the popular and prosperous Moore family, parents Josiah B., a businessman known as either J.B. or Joe, and Sarah, and their 4 children, 11-year-old Herman, 9-year-old Catherine, 7-year-old Boyd, and 5-year-old Paul. With that many kids, the home was rarely quiet. Worried, Mary called J.B.'s brother, Ross, who used his key to get inside. He saw blood and asked her to fetch the town marshal. Marshal Henry Hank Horton was similarly shaken after walking through the silent house. "Somebody murdered in every bed," he muttered as he went to fetch Dr. J. Clark Cooper, the first physician to examine the scene. Inside the house, the entire Moore family had been brutally slain, as had 2 young friends of the family, Lena and Ina Stillinger. The killer had wielded an axe, using the blade to kill his victims and then the handle to bludgeon their faces beyond recognition, before covering the heads with bedclothes. The mutilation was so severe that one Iowa newspaper misidentified the Stillinger girls as another pair altogether. The night before the deaths, J.B. and Sarah were at the local Presbyterian church, watching their children perform Children's Day exercises. Lena and Ina also took part, and the 2 girls, aged 11 and 8 respectively, were invited to stay the night at the Moore home because it seemed safer than having them walk home in the dark. The young guests were in a downstairs bedroom while the rest of the family was upstairs. Investigators determined Lena and Ina were the first victims, and that one of them had awakened, judging by a defensive wound that suggested she'd thrown up an arm to ward off a blow. It's possible that Sarah had also awoken during the attack. One neighbour told police she thought she heard Sarah's voice in the night yelling, "Oh, dear! Oh, dear! Don't! Don't! Don't!" The Adams County Free Press reported, "All the bodies were found in a natural sleeping posture, with heads beaten almost to a pulp." It appeared the killer had taken pains to conceal himself. The blinds had been tightly drawn closed on the windows. Glass doors had been covered with articles of clothing. Even the mirrors inside the house had been shrouded. The attack was not a robbery, as no valuables were taken or even disturbed. It seemed that the killer wasn't in a rush. Police discovered 2 cigarette butts in the attic, implying that the killer, or killers, could have waited until the family were asleep before attacking them. In addition, the murderer had taken time to partially clean the murder weapon before leaving it propped against the wall of the downstairs bedroom. The crime scene had some odd elements that still perplex researchers today. A slab of bacon was left leaning against the wall next to the axe, while another piece of bacon was found on the piano in the parlour. On the kitchen table was a plate of uneaten food and a bowl of bloody water. It's perhaps noteworthy, too, that Lena's nightgown had been pushed up, leaving her exposed, although doctors determined she had not been sexually assaulted.